Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Drunk Dutchman and my ramblings, and I welcome back. As today, I have a few things I'd like to get on with. Today is, of course, Martin Luther King Day. It's also Inauguration Day, where we, as a nation, install a new president. In this case, it's a recycled president, um, much to a lot of people's chagrin, but he is now our new president, and all we can do is hope for the best in the next 4 years. Um, as far as Martin Luther King Day, we celebrate that and what the man did as far as promoting the African American community and people of color and the strides that he tried to make and accomplished in some cases, and unfortunately was tragically shot down by somebody who had a different opinion of the way the world should be. And for that, we are terribly sorry because obviously he was a good man trying to do good things. And, those are the kinds of things that we applaud and what we stand for as a country. And as far as the inauguration, I know a lot of people are not happy about that. Um, but it's a time to look forward, and it's a time to hope that the new president can get on with business and not hold his grudges to a detriment of the nation, and he actually can get things accomplished. And hopefully, with the help of fellow senators and congressmen and politicians alike, they can all get together and get behind some of the policies that can reunite us as a country, and that way we can actually make America great again. Because without the coming together of our mutual agreements and disagreements, and embracing the disagreements and learning from each other from them, instead of tearing the country further apart, that's not going to help us make our country great, which is the ultimate um, promise that President Trump has given to us is that he wants to make America great again. And in a lot of cases, we all hope for that. Um, with that also comes the fact that the outgoing president says his farewell to the nation, and most of the time, sends his gratitude for serving the country. The other night, this past Wednesday, I watched his speech, and unfortunately, what I saw was an angry old man. The kind of guy that lives in the neighborhood and yells at the kids for getting on his lawn or stepping on his petunias or whatever the case may be. He was a bitter, angry old man, and he made a few comments which really kind of surprised me, because if you go back to what he said about that Trump is an existential threat to democracy, and an oligarchy is taking over, and that the government is being run by a few billionaires and so on and so forth. Well, let's play back the last couple of years. Um, First of all, I don't know if everybody remembers. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But going back to the first time when Donald Trump ran, Hillary Clinton called anybody who supported him a bunch of deplorables. And yet, even though Trump did not win the popular vote, he did win the electoral college vote. And when he was installed and took the oath of office the first time, the first things out of Nancy Pelosi's mouth was, he needs to go. So they did everything they could, um, except for the fact that we had a crisis on our hands, a health crisis that nobody seemed to know what to do about. And he followed the lead of the people that were there, and they were all politicians. He's an outsider. They weren't going to work with him because they didn't like the outsider attitude. In the meantime, Donald Trump was speaking what most people in this country were thinking, but were afraid to say, because we were living in a climate where if you were not politically correct, you were going to get canceled, or you were going to get shut out, or whatever the case may be. They were going to make your life miserable in a short story. The next thing that happened during those years is they started to get rid of him by trying to impeach him for things he did, things he didn't do, things he might have done. They were looking for every way to get rid of Donald Trump. In comes Joe Biden to save the white knight that's going to save us all and unite the country. Well, I, you know, not for nothing, but I didn't really care for Joe Biden. I honestly did not vote for him. And full disclosure, I didn't vote for Trump this time. I didn't vote for Kamala this time. I voted down the line. And if you want, I'm not just saying that this time. I've said it numerous times. And anybody who knows me from Facebook knows that I've said it in text. I've said it on previous videos. Neither one of those people, in my opinion, are fit to fit the office of president. And that's just my opinion. And don't hate me for it, but that's just my opinion, like it or not. Um, Going back to that beginning, Joe Biden wins the election. Okay, great. Now he's in the presidency, but we all knew that there was something not right going on with him. We saw it from day one when he was stumbling, he was making some noises, he was tripping up flights of stairs. Something was just off, and I said back then that be careful before the election even happened. Be careful of who he picks as the vice president, because that is going to be the next president of the United States, because he's going to step down at some point. Now, you fast forward a couple of years, obviously, he made a comment in his speech about the media is going down. It's not going to be the same. Facebook and social media are no longer going to be censoring and all that kind of stuff. Well, it worked for you when they did censor, and the media had already turned because the Trump derangement syndrome that was going on and the hatred for Trump as a man, and that he was an outsider in the political world. They did everything they could to make him look bad, and they did everything they could to make you look good. And so there was a problem there already, and that's when people started to distrust the media, at least in my opinion. That's also when you started hearing about people like George Soros, who was running the puppet strings. I mean, I know Jeff Dunham has a puppet that looks like Joe Biden, but I doubt very much he's out in Washington holding the purse strings to Joe Biden's backside. Anyway, the point of the matter is that somebody was making the decisions, and it certainly wasn't Joe. Okay, it wasn't Joe Biden, it wasn't Kamala Harris. Somebody was doing it, and he was just the mouthpiece for that person. So, talk about millionaires and billionaires running the country, and oligarchy, and all that kind of stuff. Well, that kind of sounds like oligarchy and what you're accusing Donald Trump of. Now you go to the Kamala Harris. When they forced you out, there's a problem right there, because that's not what the democracy that we wrote and the Constitution says. They just kind of pushed you to the side, Joe, because you weren't going to be able to beat Donald Trump because of your disastrous debate performance, and they install Kamala Harris. Well, back to the beginning, when you ran, Kamala Harris got 0 votes for the delegates that needed to become the presidential nomination. So what do? She's a woman of color, and she's a woman. So you make her your vice president candidate. Everything is now fine. You calm Kamala down. You step down. Eventually, she becomes president. She becomes the first woman of color to become the president of the United States. Everybody's happy. Everybody's cheering. Kumbaya all over around the world. Well, that turned into a disaster, because when she started running on her own, and she didn't have you as a nameplate, but she did have the money, because over 80 billionaires contributed to her. So again, that sounds kind of like an oligarchy to me, because those are some of the richest people in the world, and the Hollywood elitists. And who has the purse strings on the media? People that are billionaires. George Soros, who hates the Republican Party, obviously dumping money by the billions into your candidacy. Okay, now Kamala's running. She's making all kinds of promises. She wants everybody to be loved and hubby, and all kinds of good things, and it's going to be all kumbaya, and it's all going to be paradise, and we're going to live in utopia forever, as long as she's the president of the United States. Well, that didn't work out because she turned to the old act of Donald Trump is a narcissist. He's a dictator. He's a Hitler. The name calling started instead of addressing the problems that the people in the United States are having, which is how much the eggs cost, how much gas costs, how much it costs to live in a state like New Jersey or California. But you were pushing a Green Deal, which, by the way, goes back to Obama with his failed attempt to put solar panels all over the place because of the whole cylinder thing. So, let's get that straight. Everything you guys have touched has turned to shit. So now you got somebody that is an outsider. And let's face it, the government is a business. It's a dirty business, but it's a business. And you need a businessman to run it. Now, do I think that Donald Trump is the best businessman in the world? No. He probably didn't get all of his money from that. As a matter of fact, it's been widely published and known that a lot of the money that he has is because of his father. Okay, great. But a lot of people have money from their father and they piss it away. Donald Trump has seemed to not do that, although he's had failed attempts with the casinos in Atlantic City and some other things like the University of Trump and all that kind of stuff. Everybody makes mistakes. If you ask anybody that made money and big money, I'm sure that Elon Musk has failed several times before he got it right. And I'm on a side note, I wonder what his fascination is with the letter X. Because if you think about it, SpaceX, he buys Twitter and he turns it into X and he does this. I don't know what his fascination about X is, but that's a story for another time, and I'd have to do some research as to why that is. Anyway, going forward, now you're pushed out. Kamala Harris gets billions of dollars in her war chest, and she winds up leaving the campaign, losing the campaign, and she doesn't become the president by both the Electoral College and by 4.5 million votes on the popular vote. The Electoral College vote was more of a landslide. It was a little closer with the popular vote, but she loses on both accounts. And then it turns out after the election was over, she's a couple $1 million in debt and can't pay her campaign aides and the people that helped her along the way. Now, to me, that's not exactly the person that I want running a corporation. You give her $1 billion to start a corporation and she loses $2 million in 10 months. So that's not the kind of person that I want holding my wallet. You fast forward to Donald Trump, he's saying that he's going to fix it. He's a businessman. He gets people that are business people like Elon Musk, and a few other people to come in and clean up the mess of spending and inappropriate spending on stuff that we really don't need to be spending money on. I mean, when you come in here illegally and you're going to hand it a $300 debit card every month to pay for food, and you're putting them up in 5-star hotels, that's a waste of tax dollars. Okay, that's a complete waste. And look, I know that we are all immigrants here, but there's a legal way to do it. My parents did it. My grandparents did it. Your parents did it. Your grandparents may have done it. Your great grandparents might have done it. Maybe you were lucky and your parents and your grandparents were born here in the United States. Anyway, either way you look at it, we were all immigrants into this country. There's a way to do it legally and where everybody's okay with it. And I get it. You want to come to the United States to seek a better life. I understand it. Everybody wants a bigger and better life for themselves, their families, their kids, their ancestors, and whatever. That's the American dream, and that's what this country was built on. It has failed as an institution the way things have gone because we are never going to get out of the debt unless we start with cutting things that don't need to be on the books and stop with the $5,000 toilets or the $8,000 rocks in a park in Nancy Pelosi's backyard or whatever the case may be, and start getting realistic about what we actually need to do, like build up our military again. Take care of our homeless people. Take care of our veterans, especially the homeless veterans. Take care of the people that have disabilities. Take care of those that can't take care of themselves. Educate the people that need to be educated and let them work for a living. Start building back into the trades and stuff. Stop worrying about, you know, the diversity and equity and inclusion thing where you're hurting businesses because they can't get qualified people because they have to have certain amount of African Americans or Chinese or Hebrews or whatever the case may be, or they have to have a certain amount of women, or they have to have a certain amount of the qualified people should get the jobs. And yes, there are plenty of women, there are plenty of African Americans, there are plenty of people of color, there are plenty of Jewish people, or whatever the case may be, gay people, lesbian people that have great experiences and are smart people that you could be doing hiring them, and you still meet the qualifications of including everybody. If you earned it, you qualified. It doesn't matter what you look like. I mean, I have a niece that has green hair, and she's held a job and she loves her job. Unfortunately, the person that hired her is no longer loving her job because it seems that the company she's working for is going out of business. But the kid works hard, and I see it every day. That you see people that you think, okay, well, maybe they can't work in certain places. Well, if there's a certain dress code, you got to address that up front, and you let the people know what they're getting into, and that's all part of it. So stop with the fear mongering. The speech he had was just it wasn't a conciliatory speech. It was just sheer bitter, angry that he was pushed out, and in some cases delusional that he thought he was going to be able to beat Donald Trump. The stack was against him, and it was against Kamala because you wouldn't have done anything to change what was going on in the country, and your party to this day can't get over it and can't figure it out. Well, that's because you weren't listening to the public. And 77 million people, even though you called them garbage, voted for Donald Trump. I'm not one of them, but the majority of people did. I was part of the 4% or 5% that didn't vote for either one of them. Okay, because again, my view was neither one of them was qualified. But my hope is that Donald Trump puts his bitterness aside from all the people that have tried to take him down, gets to business, listens to his constituency, listen to his gut as far as a businessman goes, and he listens to the people that he's surrounded himself with and not go off the hinges. And if that case, if he can do all that and he can do it in a way without spreading all kinds of hate and vitriol across the social media thing, maybe he can get the media behind him. The media is always going to push him because they're liberals anyway. So they're always going to, no matter who the Republican Party candidate is, they're always going to have a negative narrative against the Republican and the conservative outlook. Again, disclosure: I'm an independent. I am not a Republican. I am not a Democrat. I vote for somebody who I think is going to uphold my values and uphold my beliefs and adhere to what I think is best for this country, what's best for me, and what's best for my kids and my grandkids, and eventually, hopefully, great grandkids. With that, I want to wish you guys all the best. Enjoy your day. Remember, we're all in this together. Togetherness is going to make the country great again, regardless of what the politicians do or say. We just need to get together as a country again and as a people. With that, I wish you all the best. I hope all of you have a very successful year, and God bless, and God bless America. Have a great day, guys.